Good morning. Happy Thursday. So we've had reports back now about Earl's trial. I put a link to Pigman JoJo's video on my community page. He did age restrict his video, so I don't know if it showed up for anybody else. I recommend watching his video. He refers to Earl as Lester the Turtleneck Molester. The picture of Earl, I don't know if anybody else saw it on Earl's community page, was not the most flattering thing in the world. As I sit here, obviously, I'm not the most flattering thing in the world, but you get my point. Maybe not wear a turtleneck next time, Earl. I generally recommend that my clients come in to trial wearing a collared shirt without a tie and a jacket, a blazer or a sport coat, or something semi-professional looking, somewhat serious looking. I personally think ties make it look a little too, but something enough to show respect without looking pretentious. I mean, unless you're the kind of guy who wears suits all the time, then yeah, absolutely. But if you're the working class kind of guy, maybe you've got a few tattoos that show even when you're wearing a suit, maybe no tie. That's kind of my philosophy. You want to show respect without looking silly. That's my philosophy. Anyway, so Pigman JoJo was there at the hearing. It was a pretrial hearing. Apparently, it was on a motion to exclude the testimony of the youngest daughter, the daughter who claims that she was 3 years old when Earl molested her. Now, there's only, to the best of my knowledge, only one daughter has actually filed charges. So this is only on one daughter's allegations. And this particular hearing was just on the youngest daughter, the daughter who was allegedly 3, whether or not she would be able to testify. And for those of you who think that obviously she should be allowed to testify, it's not always that obvious. The court has to weigh whether or not testimony is going to be more prejudicial than probative. It's very prejudicial to have someone alleging that the defendant raped or sexually assaulted a 3-year-old. That's very prejudicial. And the question is, how probative is the evidence going to be? How much will the evidence, the testimony given by the third daughter, how much will that tend to incriminate or exonerate Earl? And if Earl was on trial for just being a bad guy, it'd be very relevant. It'd be very probative into whether or not Earl was a bad guy. But does his actions with his 3-year-old daughter make it more likely or less likely that the allegations made by the first daughter are true? And that's not 100%. I mean, it's a balancing test, as most things in law are. And so the judge has to determine whether or not the testimony by the third daughter should be allowed in at trial, or if it's just going to, waste court time and not really be probative of what Earl did or didn't do to the first daughter. So I can see it going either way. Now, according to according to Pigman JoJo, the court did not make a decision at the hearing. The court said that they would issue their decision later that day. So that's pretty common for the court to do something like that. Take the matter under submission. You've provided all your evidence. You've provided your brief. I've heard both parties' arguments. I'm going to make a decision, but I want to do my own independent legal research, or have my clerk do independent legal research to figure out which way I really want to go on this, to make sure that I'm going down the right path, because judges don't want to get overturned at appeals, especially if the judge has any aspirations for getting on to a court of appeals or some sort of a higher court. You want to have a low overturn rate on appeal. I guess that's something that they look for. I don't know exactly. Anyway, I think nowadays they look more for what your political stances are than how good your legal record are. Or maybe now they're looking at just what color your skin is. Why not? Why not? It is a legal system, not a justice system after all. So who really cares, right? Anyway, it's a joke. So you can believe Earl that the court ruled in Earl's favor, or you can believe Pigman JoJo that the court did not make a decision right then and there, or you can believe Pigman JoJo and Felipe Hemming that the court didn't hear it there, but then Felipe says that the court then issued a decision in favor of the state and against Earl, allowing the daughter, who was 3, at the time to testify at trial. So that's where we're at. The trial was continued out to April 13th. There are no more, at least not that I could see, there are no more pretrial hearings. So we are all set. Apparently, according to Pigman JoJo, there are a bunch of CPS employees and police officers who are being subpoenaed for this. So we're going to, I guess, have a lot of hearings on it, a lot of days of trial. But when you're dealing with subpoenaing that many people, the less time between now and when they need to appear, the more likely that somebody's going to have some sort of a conflict, a scheduled vacation, another trial they have to appear at, something where they wouldn't be able to appear. So the court set it out to April 13th so that it is more likely that these officers will be able to appear at trial as they're being subpoenaed on. So there you go. That's where we're at. Pigman JoJo did talk about Earl's attitude at the hearing. I wouldn't be so concerned about Earl's attitude at the hearing, but if Earl is still laughing and smiling and yucking it up with his attorney at trial, that might be an issue. Juries use a lot of things to determine how they're going to vote. Unfortunately, it's not a beyond a reasonable doubt system anymore. It's a does the jury like you kind of system. And so you don't want to act like you're callous, like you don't care about these things. The jury's going to sit there thinking, if my daughter raised these allegations against me, what would I be doing sitting there? And, maybe I would be, concerned about my daughter, knowing I didn't do anything wrong, but concerned that why is my daughter doing this? And I would take this matter very seriously because I would want to be found not guilty, and I would want to be able to then help my daughter get the treatment she needs or whatever. Because I'm assuming that there aren't going to be any child molesters on the jury. I'm just assuming that. So anyway, I'm going to put Pigman JoJo's video in the description. I don't know if that'll work because, again, it is age restricted. He doesn't use any foul language or anything like that as far as I'm aware of. It's just him talking into his camera. But he age restricted it, so there you go. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.